From the City of Angels, you're listening to the James Salazar Media Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the Republican National Convention. So let me strike the music, and I'll meet you on the other side.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Say hello to my little friend.
No, I am your father.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
And welcome to the James Salazar Media Podcast, where you get your weekly dose of pop culture, politics, and futurism. I am the formerly mentioned, your host, James Salazar, a.k.a. The Media. How goes it, my fellow Americans? I hope your week was good. I know the country's on edge. We are in an election cycle. November, just a month, 2 months away. We will be picking the next president of the United States. And shit is getting real. It's getting crazy out there. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. Chaz Boseman, the Black Panther, died last week from colon cancer. And like everybody else, no one had any idea that he was suffering from that. Basically, he had it for 4 years. He's been fighting it for 4 years. And finally succumbed to his cancer, his disease, and died around his family. Didn't let the studio know, didn't let his friends know, didn't let his colleagues know for sure. It is a shock, complete shock. I was a fan of his. I did watch 3 of his movies before he died. I watched all the Marvel movies, which is 4 there, and 41 in the James Brown movie. He is a phenomenal talent, and I enjoyed those movies, and I enjoyed his acting. And many of his colleagues said he was the salt of the earth. He was one of the greatest people to work with, one of the kindest souls that they ever met. And it is a loss. And it's a loss for the black community, especially because the Black Panther movie was a game changer for them. You know, there's never really been a black superhero. And this is a superhero. And most black children had to fall in love with a white Spider-Man and a white Superman, which is not bad, or in a white Batman. But this is one that is their own. This is one for themselves. And it was a transformative movie for them. To see them in a heroic and powerful position. It was just amazing for them. And, you know that everything shut down. And my friends know this, some, that, I was going to tip my toe into stand-up comedy, because it's easy being funny around your friends, and but you just need that validation that you're funny, no matter what and who you talk to. And I have the general sense that I am, but I think it's something that I like to challenge myself, and I say that to say this, that one of my chugs was that the Black Panther movie is like the black people's Avatar. And if you remember Avatar, a lot of people got depressed because the world of Avatar wasn't real. And all these hippies wish they lived in the world of Avatar. And Black Panthers is black people's Avatar. And there's other jokes that go along that. And I still might do the stand-up comedy when COVID goes away. I don't want to tell the whole joke. But I realized that this is I would see black people wear Wakanda t-shirts and Black Panther t-shirts and say Wakanda forever. So the movie meant a lot. and his character meant a lot. And forever he will be immortalized in that role. And that brings me to another point. I've been reading what the studios might do in replace of to do with the next Black Panther movie. And I heard that they might get a new actor, which I don't think they should do. It's sort of like, it doesn't seem like the right thing to do to replace that actor, replace that person. And let's do a quick version of how I would write it. And how I would write the next Black Panther movie would be this. That the current Black Panther, played by Chaz Boseman, and we're going to have to use deep fake technology and some of Industrial Light and Magic's technology to bring back Chaz Boseman's likeness. And that tragically, the Black Panther gets killed and have a very great moment on film that acknowledges the loss of that version of the Black Panther as well as Chaz Boseman's loss. And as we know, Killmonger destroyed all the purple bulbs, so he is the only other Black Panther. Now, we see him dying, but the original Black Panther just puts his hand on his body, but he can take one of those beads, put it into his wound, and freeze him like the Winter Soldier. And because he's the only Black Panther left, they pull him out to become the new Black Panther. And I think you can write a really good story about Killmonger becoming the Black Panther and him trying to live up to the old Black Panther ideals and trying to force down his nature. And we can see that play out on film, that not everybody trusts him, but they have to because he's the only living Black Panther. I think they can do some great writing around that. I just don't like the feeling of replacing the actor because of the actor. And it just doesn't feel right to me. I think we shouldn't put somebody else to replace Chaz Boseman. I think that version of the Black Panther should die with him to honor him. At least that's what I think. Now, another event that we need to talk about before we get to the convention is Jacob Blake. This is the guy that was shot 7 times in the back. And I realize there is a major problem with a cop shooting someone 7 times. I mean, obviously, they're shooting to kill if you're going to shoot 7 times. And I was going to speak about this earlier in the week, and good thing I didn't, because we now know that Jacob Blake was not some guy who just went to his car and bent down and got shot 7 times. But there's a whole history before that of him fighting the cops, him struggling with the cops, him dominating one cop with a headlock, them shooting him twice with stun guns and having no effect around him, and having no effect on him. Him going around the car, reaching into his car, where the officer shot him 7 times. We have a big problem right now in our society that we have this either or. You're either on this guy's side, and you're either on that guy's side. How about, it seems like you shouldn't be on anybody's side because both people acted wrong. And I want to give a message for anybody that you need to understand. And let me be clear. It's your life. No one's going to care about your life more than you. And you should be the most invested in de-escalating the situation because it's your fucking life. It's not the cop's life. It is your cop. It does little good thinking that the cop's going to get busted for not de-escalating the situation and go to jail when you're fucking dead and gone. I don't know who is telling people that they don't have to obey the police. When you don't listen to the police and when you struggle with the police, the chances of you dying go up exponentially. If you obey the police and de-escalate the situation, the chance of you living go up exponentially. This is just common sense. And I don't know who's telling people. It is your life. You have to be the first. You have to be the first in our society now to de-escalate the situation. Because you may not run into a cop that will. I'm just telling you. And Jacob Blake chose poorly. Reacted bad to the situation. And it could have got him killed. The cop, he should be investigated. And he should be fired. And if it's criminal, go to jail. But like I said, that's little comfort. If that guy goes to jail for life, that's little comfort to Jacob Blake. He is fully paralyzed when all he had to do is listen to the cops. And the cops are going to get his day in court. But you cannot reach. You can't have a history of disobeying the cops and reach for something in your car. Doesn't justify being shot in the 7 times in the back. But the cops can't let him do that either. So where are we at? Everybody has to take responsibility for their actions. It's not either or. The cop has no responsibility and Blake has all the full responsibility. Or Blake has no responsibility and the cop has full responsibility. Both of those are stupid. They both did something wrong. But the fact of the matter is, Blake had full control of how that situation was going to go down. All he had to do was obey the cops. You have to obey a lawful order. That's it. I know it's tough to hear, but if anybody's telling you in your life that you don't have to listen to a cop, run away from that person. That person's an idiot and they don't care if you live or die. I'm all about you living. I'm all about you surviving an encounter with and to survive an encounter with the police, you need to obey their commands and plead the fifth. And that's it. And get a lawyer. And you will live that circumstance. You'll live through that. Don't resist the rest. It never turns out good. It just never turns out good. And the cops are not paid to back down, no matter the political climate. And like I said before, you should be the most invested in saving your life. You should be the most invested in de-escalating the situation, not escalate it because you're angry. Because you might not be with a cop we don't know what he's dealing with that day. We don't know. These are humans and they're flawed. Can't help that. We're not going to get to unflawed cops until we have robots patrolling the streets. Until then, we're going to deal with flawed people. And if he had a bad day and he had a run-in with a bunch of people who weren't obeying his commands, and then he comes to you and you decide to pop off, and then he shoots you, of course he's going to go to jail for life. But you're dead. Don't pop off. Act right. Obey their commands, plead the fifth, and you'll come out alive the majority of the time. I do realize our history, that back in the South, that if a black man was caught in the dark by a cop, he's going to get beat, tortured, or lynched. I get that, but we don't live in that society today, and to pretend like we do, it's not true. There's cameras on every corner. That's how we caught this. Obey the cop's command, plead the fifth, fight it out in court, and live to fight another day. That's my best advice for you. Excuse me, let me get my paperwork. Now the Republican convention. The Republican convention. Hold on, I gotta burp. Guess that was 3 burps right there. Thank you, Chewy, for covering. Enough of that. The Republican National Convention. It was corny, like over corny. Fucking can't even say this word. I can say corny, but I want to say cornily, overly cornily patriotic, which I don't mind because I'm a patriot. But yeah, there were some doozies in there. Overall, I thought it was better than the Democrats. It was more positive, even though they went into the dirt where the Democrats live, because you know how they say they go high. When they go low, we go high. Well, the Democrats didn't do that this time around. They went super low, super low, and the Republicans went high with times of, kicking the Democrats in the nuts. They weren't totally positive. They almost had the same rhetoric of how the world's going to be destroyed by Donald Trump. I mean, the Democrats had that, and vice versa. Is that a word? Vice versa? Am I saying that right? Vice versa? Versa vice? Where did that word come from? Text me. Don't text me. I mean, go to James Salazar Media and send me an email and tell me if I'm getting that right, because I'm not sure. But they came back with Joe Biden's going to end the world too. It's going to destroy America. They both went that way. But overall, I don't know. You got some weird people. I think the most compelling was the black Republicans. I think they all stated clearly why they are not so much for Donald Trump, but why they're not Democrat. Why they're not for Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. And I think they listed the things I've been saying for years, but they themselves have been listing, that they don't do nothing for the black community, that they don't have to do anything for the black community because they know because of their skin color, they're going to vote Democrat. It's just what they do. And so they don't have to do anything for you if they know that you're going to vote for them because you're black. Why would they do something for you? If they did something for you, that metric might change and you might vote Republican, even if they got you out of poverty. Because most of the time when you get out of poverty, you start earning a lot of money. And when you earn a lot of money, you want to keep the most of it. And then you realize you want to keep more of your feria. You want to keep more of your money. And that some of these taxes are way too oppressive. They're asking way too much money for something they didn't earn. And what are they doing with this money? And how are they spending it? You start to get to really be involved because now you're being affected because the money's coming out of your pocket. A whole horde of the money, right? If you're making $50,000 to $60,000 a year, and even and if you're super successful, hundreds and millions of dollars, a lot of money's coming out of you, and you're less tolerant on what they spend it on. So there is no motive for Democrats to make people prosperous. And if you notice, there's nothing in their agenda that helps people to be prosperous. Okay, now I'm making a partisan argument. I really didn't want to get into that. I just want to be objective as much as I can as being a conservative libertarian. But here's one. Kimberly Guilfoyle, the president's, I'm not sure if they're married. I think they're married. His girlfriend, she went off the rails. That did not go well. She started screaming. She looked crazy. Her face was all mad. Nobody wants to hear a mad woman screaming at you. If too many people go home to that. You don't want to get that on TV. You want to fucks with that. No. If I'm going to get yelled, I'm going to get yelled at by my wife. I'm not going to be yelled at you. Cut it out. I'm not going to take this any longer. I'm mad as hell. And I ain't going to take this any longer. But like I was saying, the black Republicans came over very well. And I think I don't know if they changed anybody's mind. They might have. But they made a great case. And I'm pretty sure it made people think that the Democratic, Donald Trump may be wacky and crazy and he says stupid stuff. But the Democrats have done nothing for you. It's time you do things for yourself, and that's been their message. And the best way to do things for yourself is under a Trump administration that's getting out of your way. So I think they made that argument very good. And I think another speaker that spoke to me and I thought it did well was Dana White, the CEO of the UFC. He spoke in a true matter-of-fact way. He sort of pumped you up like he does the Ultimate Fighters. I was listening to him and the way he puts things, he could run for politics. I mean, he has a history of cursing a lot, and he didn't curse in his speech. He's known to say the F word quite a bit, but he refrained, and I can see him in the life of politics. I mean, he's straight to the point, and he's pretty charismatic, and hands down, the best fight promoter in human history. No one's better than Dana White, and I thought that went over well. He had his children, Donald Trump had his children come up. It's hard. It's hard to listen to them for me. For white Republicans, and I think they make good points, and I think they make valid points. It's just, when you have your children speaking for you, they're not going to speak bad of you. And it's really, I don't know. It doesn't feel completely genuine. Of course, they love their father, and they're always going to see their father in the best light. So I don't know if they may change anybody's mind. I don't think. But they made great points when they started to talk about Joe Biden because, Joe Biden does have issues. We are not sure. It seems like he's a prop. And he's doing good right now. And I don't think they're going to debate Donald Trump. I think they know he would look stupid. Or not look stupid, but he ended up looking incompetent when Donald Trump goes hard into the paint. So I don't think that's going to happen. Then the big show showed up. Donald Trump came to the podium. Everybody's excited about the fact that Melania and Ivanka don't like each other. Melania rolls her eyes big on film, on TV. she's hearing about it. It's all over the news. And you know what? Some media organizations might say to themselves, that's a more interesting thing to deal with this next 4 years than a Joe Biden who's hiding from everybody. I think we can have a lot of news based on the drama between Ivanka and Melania. So you might see a turn in some of the media sources. But maybe not. Maybe I'm speaking out of my ass. But I can see like TMZ and those gossip channels, they're going to want to talk about Melania and Ivanka gossip for sure. But Donald Trump's speech was way too long. He had some good jokes in there, though. 50% of it was good, and the other 50% was boring as hell. And some wordy speechwriter put all this gobbledygook platitudes in his speech, and that dude should be fucking fired, because those moments of brilliance were drowned out by long strains of boredom. And you have to sit through 70 minutes to find the nuggets. That was a bad calculation, according to me. But, he has some good lines, like, the Democrats were tearing down America. How can you lead a country that you're tearing down? Not a bad line. Democrat and Joe Biden were saying they were the light. And he made a comparison, all the rolling blackouts in California with Nancy Pelosi. He says, how can these people be the light when they can't keep the lights on? So that was a good statement. And he had a couple of others. And overall, they're preaching to the crowd. But at the end of the day, it's all about the middle. Democrats are third, and they're going to vote for them. They're going to vote for Democrats. There might be some who come over, and Republicans are the other third. And in the middle, who chooses who wins, are the moderates. And until the violence stops, because I think the narrative that violence in democratic cities is working, because they want to blame it on Donald Trump, but these problems existed before Donald Trump became president. That's the issue. Black people in those communities know that these problems that they're dealing with were during the Reagan administration, the Clinton administration, the Bush administration, the Obama administration. No one's dealt with it. And to blame it on Donald Trump, people know in those communities that it's not Donald Trump's America, it's the long-held Democratic-controlled cities for about 50 years. Those are the cities that are burning today. And I think that narrative is winning out. And that's what's going to get the third to vote for Donald Trump. Begrudgingly vote for Donald Trump. Joe Biden just barely came out against the rioting and looting. And we knew that because he did that because his numbers were falling. And there's sort of like a wink to the rioters and everybody. I have to say this right now to get elected. But, we know that he doesn't have the fortitude to speak his mind, to run his own agenda, because he's old. And it's just too much to deal with. And they're going to push their agenda on there. And that agenda is limiting free speech, for sure. Cancer culture coming about stronger than ever before. And defunding police in democratic cities. They're going to defund them. And just like in Chicago and in New York, as soon as the cops pulled out because they were hurrying about defunding, 300 black people got shot in 2 weeks. In 3 weeks. Crime went up exponentially because the cops pulled out. So this narrative that it would be safer for black people if cops weren't there, has in 3 weeks proven to be utterly false, untrue, and a stupid statement. Let me tell you, people, white people are keeping their cops. They ain't stupid. You need to keep your cops too. And most black citizens, law-abiding citizens, want cops there because they are the victim of a lawless society. They're the number one victim of a lawless society. Blacks are being killed in the droves by their own people who want to victimize other black people. The incarceration rates are so high in the black community, but the fact that no one wants to tell you, it is a black person who is accusing the other black person of hurting them. It's not some white people. It's black people asking the cops to arrest this person because they have victimized me. And those are the people who are going to be left to fend for themselves in the streets where there's no cops anymore. They're the ones that are going to be victimized. You're going to screw black people because white people are going to keep their cops. You're only going to screw white people. Good job, liberals. It's time that good intentions mean for shit and only good results. And the good results is, number one, you need more cops. Number two, cops need more training. Number three, cops need to be pulled out of areas that have high crime. They can't be there for years and years. They should be pulled out every 6 months or every 3 months. You know, if they do a year, they should get pulled out for 3 months to bring them back to a level that's number one with anxiety and fear and overreaction, whatever it might be. Bad cops need to go. Charlie, you're out. Anybody who has a history of treating the citizens wrong, have too many complaints, those people need to find another job. Like I said, and I always say, if you want that level of respect, you have to take that level of responsibility. No longer should police hold bad police's water for them. It's going to end up hurting you. And I'm talking to police officers. It's going to end up biting you in the butt. It is already doing that. Society is fed up. Look, there needs to be a new cop. There needs to be a cop that deals with the worst of society, no matter what race, because they're only taking calls when there's a problem. So they're always going to deal with a problem. These cops need to deal with every situation, and every situation, they must treat the citizen like they're innocent. Okay? I understand they have to make procedures to protect themselves. But they must go through bad circumstance to bad circumstance and still keep their cool and still keep their objectivity towards every citizen. This is why they should get paid more, and the cops that cannot do that should be moved out. That's it. That's the qualification to being a cop. To maintain that emotional and mental discipline that you can come from a violent confrontation and then go to another person who might dress the same and treat them with the same amount of respect as a white grandma. Unless they don't like white grandmas. To have that kind of emotional discipline, because that's what the job is called for, and that's what it takes to be a cop, and that's what it should take to be a cop. There's people who can't do that, in the police force. They can't. They've done it too long. They already have a preconceived idea about people, and those people. And it's not about racism. It's that they're dealing with some of the meanest people that are cops are people of their own race. They look down on people of their own race. Black cops are more likely to hurt black citizens because they're frustrated because they think the citizens act better. But they're just dealing with a microcosm of that community. But they're dealing with it every day. And they're overgeneralizing. And they have to have the mental discipline not to do that, no matter what race the cop is, and no matter what race the citizen is. At least that's what I think. I'm pretty sure there's another path. I mean, I think Jocko, the Jocko podcast, he suggested, he says that special operations go through 20% of what they do each month is training. 20% is training, ongoing training. So they don't overreact. They don't make bad decisions, that they are accurate and precise in what they do. Because if they don't do it right, they can cause an international incident, and then we're going to war. That can happen. The police, of everything they do each month, 20% of what they do should be training. Training on how to react in the most extreme pressure, the most volatile situations, and still maintain their composure. They're not getting that. They just went to, police school, and then they got thrown out into the streets, and they don't get no training anymore. They'll probably only get training if they've done something wrong. Well, it's too late then. For the citizen, it's too late. They're really dealing with an asshole now. And they're going to train him not to be an asshole? No, they need constant training. Constant training. And because of that constant training, it's going to take more money, and we should require more from them, and we should pay them more. That's the solution, I think. Not cut out funding and less cops. What do you think is going to happen when a cop does something wrong in a community that cut funding? They're going to blame the problem on the cutting the funding. They say, don't you train your people? No, you cut the funding. We don't have no training. We have everybody coming in on, what is it? Part-time. It's a part-time job. The other half of their day, they're a security guard. And this is who you have policing our society. That doesn't sound good to me, no matter how you put it. I mean, if it's amazing to me that the fixes in school need all kind of money, but the fixes in the police force don't need to be cut. That doesn't sound logical. That sounds like an oxymoron to me. So, I think we should pay teachers more and make them accountable more. We should only hire good teachers because the job is not more important than what the job does. The police union and the teachers unions, they're not for the children, they're for the teachers. Police unions, they're not for the citizen, they're for the police. The job is more important than the person doing the job. The children need to be taught, and the citizens need to be protected. That's the job. If you're not doing that job, then you shouldn't have that job. That's how we should run the police, and that's how we should run the schools. If people are not graduating from your class, if people do better in other people's classes than yours, then you're the problem. Obviously, if there's a kid who has a problem in every class, you can chalk it up to probably parents or environment, but it's not the teacher's fault. But if a kid is excelling in every other class except yours, he's flunking English, flunking English, then you're probably a bad English teacher, and you should go. And the whole school system is letting poor minority groups come out of school with the inability to read or do math. That is criminal. That's stacking the deck against them. You talk about a rigged society? Well, if you come out with the inability to read or do math, they have rigged you against society. Society ain't rigged against you. You've been rigged against it. So the Democratic Party has their convention. The Republicans has their convention. It all seems very hokey, all of it to me. And and at the end of the Republican National Convention, they had a opera singer come on, and he wasn't that good. Well, maybe he's good. He just didn't have a good night. He was very pitchy on his B flat in Nessun Dorma. And, you want to listen to some fantastic singing, listen to Pavarotti, and don't listen to anybody else. Very few people can do it well. And then the freaking the freaking fireworks. He started acting like he already won. And he's acting like a winner. And that does dishearten people who don't want to vote for him, and encourage people to. At least that's what I think, If he convinces you, if you're not one that normally votes, and if he convinces you he already won, you might not go to the poll. But he also might convince people that they don't need to go to the poll because he already won. But he sure acted like he won. His fireworks show acted like he already won, with Nessun Dorma singing in the back. That's like a victory party, as opposed to a nomination. So I don't know how that's going to play well. I don't know if that moves the needle by anything. I just don't know. I just don't know if the needle was moved for anybody. But if it has moved, it is moved in the direction where people want to go back to what is normal. They want the economy to come back. They want the looting and the rioting to stop. They just want to start to build on their life again. Start to work. Start to save money. Start to save money for a new car. Start to save money for a new house. Start to save money for your kids' college fund. Start to save money for a vacation. Whatever money needs, they want to start to build their life again. But people are holding back the economy. And it looks like the rioting are moving into the suburbs, and people are getting scared. And the Democrats, this is their Achilles heel. Their strengths, I don't know if it's a strength, but they're trying to blame the virus reaction on the president. And he may not act as fast as everybody wanted, but the fact of the matter is that if the Democrats were in charge, it would have been much worse. And how do we know this? That soon, in the first months in January, as soon as Donald Trump closed down flights from China and from Europe, everybody called him a bigot. All the Democrats called him a bigot and xenophobic, and that they wouldn't do that. We know that that was a good decision. And they can't change that they weren't on board with it. Nancy Pelosi thought it was so bigoted, and the Democrats thought it was so bigoted that they said hug a Chinese person day. And not to be mean to Chinese people, but that's where the virus is coming from. That was not smart. They weren't for social distancing. They were for social hugging. And they can't change that just was their reaction. So no matter how bad Donald Trump did, they would have been worse, completely worse, because of social justice. That would have been the major motivator for them. Not offending people. And that would have made the virus 100 times worse. And let's be truth. The projections of the deaths in the United States was 2 million people. This is how many people they projected were going to die in the United States out of 350 million. 2 million people. We're going to come up to 200,000. So it is only 10% of what they projected. Donald Trump should get credit to that. And everybody gave Donald Trump credit in the beginning. The governor of New York and the governor of Los Angeles gave him credit for how fast he reacted to the virus by getting them ventilators and bringing the ships and helping them out. And now, because we're getting closer to the election cycle, they act like they didn't give him props. Too late, because it's all recorded on TV. You can't go back and say he was crap. Well, in Gavin Newsom's credit, he hasn't said that Donald Trump reacted. At least I haven't heard him say he reacted poorly. But we know that the governor of New York, Cuomo, praised Donald Trump, and now is trying to go back like he didn't do that, and that Donald Trump acted all wrong. So that's pretty hypocritical, and I'm not sure if he's going to survive his governorship. I know in California there's a recall of our governor, and I signed it because no matter how good intentioned Governor Newsom is, his first step forward to every situation is authoritarianism, is to shut down things and to control the people through laws that are unconstitutional, that he's going to have to deal with when people start to sue. Like I said before, everybody should have a right to protest, to assemble, whether it is in the streets for George Floyd or whether it's in a restaurant to have a steak, whatever. It's let the people figure it out, and let the people social distance and wear a mask and choose not to go into those places. And if those people made a bad calculation, life will correct it. And they'll get COVID. You know, if people are not smart enough, then if they get COVID, not to stay away from their grandma and grandpa, because it's highly likely that they're going to live through it, then, you know, what can I tell you? You can't legislate society based on stupid people. And we're calling the governor because he just thinks people should go to jail if they're not obeying the laws of social distancing and wearing a mask. I'm not stupid. I'm going to wear a mask. I'm going to social distance until I know it's gone, until I know there's a vaccine. But I'm not going to hold on my life and hide in the corner. I know people who did all that and they still got it. Who knows how this thing works? But to destroy an economy for it is unacceptable. So we're going to repeal him. Bring in somebody that's not, pull the trigger on authoritarianism, shutting us down. Little leeway. Let the American people bring back self-government, right? That's America. The experiment of self-government. Some people just don't respect that. And it's unfortunate. So, my friends, I think I've already said too much. I said too much. Hopefully I can come with more lighter information, but we'll see. We are in an election year, and it might dominate the podcast up until November. But I'll try to come with some pop culture news and some futurism news. And hey, if you like the podcast, please subscribe. Hey, leave a review on it. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you think that anything I said was just straight out wrong, put it in an email at James Salazar Media. James Salazar Media at gmail.com. I will read it online and address it. That's what I'll do. I promise you. Unless it's full of cursing, I'll still say it. It's funny to hear people tell you off. But I digress. So, my friends, you can follow me on any of my social media accounts. Just type in James Salazar Media, and I should come up in YouTube. I should come up in Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can find my presence there. Please subscribe to all of them. I would greatly appreciate it. And until then, my friends, when the storms of life come against you and you find yourself on your knees, stand tall, take a look at that storm and say what my sensei Jack Burton always says. Give me your best shot. Strike the music.